Good morning, Flagler. The doctors are in. I'm Dr. Scott Cleos.
And I'm Dr. Andrea Cleos.
And we are here once again to talk about your health and health issues right here in Flagler, Volusia, and St. Johns County. We're right in the middle of hurricane season.
And across the country.
Mainly on this East Coast over here.
That's
true. We just got finished with Helene, which did extensive damage to the Carolinas and Georgia. And I just saw on the news that we got another one coming at us.
I saw that.
And
it's going to be coming right through our area.
Right through Florida, it looks like. And
our area particularly.
Yeah.
Daytona.
Well, it's going to start on the West Coast, but they say it's going to cross the state as a Category 1. So that might be a little bit of an issue. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed, hunker down, buckle up, and get prepared because, we've been
Wednesday,
through this
right?
rodeo. I don't remember the
I think
day.
it's
Is that
this
what
week,
it said?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
much changes.
The difference is, not that you're ever completely prepared, but at a level 1, Category 1, Category 2 hurricane down in Florida, we've got a lot of rules, regulations, and basically building codes that have helped us prepare for that because we've been through it so many times. I think what was so catastrophic up in the Carolinas is they don't really see hurricanes up there.
Right, and they weren't prepared.
They weren't prepared.
A
lot of those places
food,
didn't
gas.
have hurricane insurance. They didn't have any of that stuff. So, it was landslides and all kinds of other things associated mainly with the flooding. I mean, not that it's fun to have a hurricane at any point in time, but hopefully this one will muster our way through it.
So whoever hasn't been prepared, right? If you're not prepared, make sure you have your water, some canned food, make sure gas tanks are full. Make sure you have your batteries because lights could go out. And if you're into generators, and get your generator.
We don't have a generator.
We don't because you didn't want to get one, but I'm okay with that. We just get hot.
Ugh.
And so, but the generator should be checked regularly.
This was on purpose because when the air conditioner goes off.
Oh no!
Yep, Andrew takes
Maggie's
off
gonna
all
say
her clothes, throws
this
all
is
the blankets
X-rated
off the
again.
bed, and that's when I take all of those nudes to put on my OnlyFans site.
For those of you who are new to us, because we are posting this on YouTube, on Shield of Life YouTube channel, you may not realize we have a lot of listeners. One being Maggie, who actually likes to remind us every once in a while when Dr. Scott tries to take it south a little bit because Dr. Andrea is naked or one of us is in our underwear. That was not me.
It was me for sure.
He's kind of crazy. So we try to give some medicine education here, medical education.
We're going to do that. I promise we will talk about some.
But actually your safety is medical education. So make sure you stay safe in hurricane season and get your things that you need and have them ready to go in case, God forbid, you get
exposed to the hurricane.
But in the meantime, Maggie's going to tell you this is an X-rated show because you're trying.
I'm ready for Maggie.
You're actually trying to expose me during our hot season.
You expose yourself, and I just document it. Okay, let's get this straight. I'm not ripping your
no document. You're not documenting. No, you don't, because I don't let you.
Andrea, if you want me to retire one day, you got to support my OnlyFans site. Okay, let's get this straight.
It's just not going to happen. Never will happen. That's for your eyes only.
Before we get into medicine, this reminds me. Andrea gave an awesome talk this week over at Halifax Medical Center, and it was all about mitochondria and mitochondrial health and how your lifestyle and your diet can affect that. And we're now realizing, which I'm not going to steal Andrea's thunder, but mitochondrial deterioration is associated with a lot of chronic diseases. So you want to try to prevent your mitochondria from deteriorating, which we will talk about in this show at some point in time. But I had to go see patients, and I texted Andrea and I said, I had to go. I just kept picturing the speaker naked and I was getting all hot and bothered. So I had to get out of there. I couldn't take it anymore. So
I'm going to get a text message from Maggie, our listener.
Yeah, it's still good. 30 years.
Hey,
still picturing you naked when you're giving all. I couldn't even concentrate. I'm just looking at him like, oh yeah. Look at all that. I just came to the lecture because I heard the speaker was smoking hot. That's why I was there.
You're so bad.
All right.
Let's talk about some medicine.
Well, before that, one more political thing I just want to mention. I was reading on Yahoo or something how they had Howard Schultz, who is the CEO of and the founder of Starbucks, multinational, multi-billion-dollar entity. And in 2022, he made a comment when he was still CEO. When people were dissing on Starbucks, and he's like, "What do you guys have a beef with Starbucks? Because if you do, none of you are required to stay. You are free to go. You don't have to work for Starbucks. And now the unions are suing him for a hostile work environment. Can you believe how ridiculous this is? That you could even think that somebody would assume that this is even a possibility, because that's what a boss does.
If you're not happy, you can leave.
If an employee isn't doing their job and they're not happy with the environment, you can tell them you're free to leave. No one's keeping you here. That's not a hostile environment. That's a truth. That's a reality of life.
Why can't we speak the truth these days?
Yeah. And if you don't want to be there, you get out. But that's not hostile. You compliment the people who are pulling their weight and being a good ambassador for your business. And those who don't think that they need to be that ambassador need to go. So if you're not happy, get out. I'm with Howard on this one.
Well, we got to protect Howard. So
I'm going to get a sign that says "Free Howard."
Yeah, free Howard.
He's got so much money.
Ridiculous.
I don't think it matters. But
hopefully,
anyway,
he's a great lawyer, because this is ridiculous. He's unbelievable.
Anyone who votes for it's going to be right. But anyway, that's my last political statement. So we can go on and talk about something medicine, since this is the doctor.
I bet some of you don't even know.
Doctors are in.
Mm-hmm, doctors are in. Don't even know what a mitochondria is. They're kind of like the engines in our gas tanks. And imagine that those engines are in every single cell in the body. And depending on the type of cell, if it's a muscle cell, it may have up to 10,000 engines in the gas tank, or gas tanks, basically not gas tanks, engines in the car. In the car. And the car is the cell.
I'm surprised. So there's some of these cells have 10,000 mitochondria?
Yes.
I thought every cell had one.
No, exactly. That's how we did it in biology way back when.
They just draw one big mitochondria in there.
And they also have numerous other internal things called the electron transport chain, we can talk about. They can have numerous of those, not just one or two. And so also when we were learning biology many, many years ago and studying all the different organelles, the little players inside each cell, we thought that there weren't as many, but apparently there's quite a bit. And so like your skin have very few mitochondria, the muscle cell, the heart cell, the brain, the kidneys, and the liver have a lot more mitochondria, require a lot more engines to function. And when there's a deficiency in oxygenation, or there's a lot of energy being made and needed, those cells, those mitochondria, can divide and split and to replicate. And it's very interesting because they help with the health of the cell. What we're finding as people age from diseases of various organs, pancreatic failure, liver failure, kidney failure, dementia, or neurologic diseases, that these mitochondria start dying off. And so it's very important to understand the function of that mitochondria, that it is kind of like the powerhouse of the cell, but they're also the powerhouse for life. And we really need to provide health to those. And what helps you keep your mitochondria healthy is movement and breathing through our nose, where we basically, that electron transport chain, that as we eat nutrients like carbohydrates and proteins and fat, they all break down in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. And their byproducts, which is NAD and FAD, which I don't encourage you to purchase, but eat healthy. And you get a lot of those nutrients from healthy foods. They actually separate and get passed through, the electrons get passed through the electron transport chain, and breathing a lot of oxygen actually helps attract those electrons. But if the electrons build up because you're not moving and you're eating a lot of carbohydrates or a lot of red meat, like my guys who come in and say, Dr. Cleos, I can't lose weight, but you're asking me to eat vegetables because, I'm a meat and potato kind of guy. What happens is non-moving and then eating unhealthy carbohydrate, starchy foods, not doing intermittent fasting, drinking sugary diet drinks and electrolyte drinks and power drinks. What happens is these things will build up chemicals in your bodies and can generate an excessive amount of electrons from that electron transport chain. And then those electrons turn into free radicals. And if you guys don't know what free radicals, we can do another show on free radicals, but those free radicals go around and they're like, I like to tell my patients, they're like Tasmanian devils, and they have charges on them. And they'll go and they want to be stable. And in order to be stable, they're going to pull a hydrogen or a nitrogen or, an atom off a structure. That structure could be the endovascular lining of a blood vessel. And that is what can cause endovascular narrowing.
It can also be the DNA, the genetics.
Yes,
so you
and the
got to
other
be
thing
careful
that it
because
can
it
do,
can actually,
right,
that's why these chronic inflammatory states with the high, abundance of these free radicals are linked to stuff like cardiovascular disease, but also to cancers and neural.
Right.